So formally I'd like to welcome everybody, all boys and girls and the supervisors and teachers, I'm not sure what your directors is, leaders. Okay, so thank you for coming. My name is Tariq Mahmood, and Mr. Mahmood, and I'm the Vice Chairman of this Havering Islamic Culture Centre. And we'll learn a few things about Islam today, and you can see the similarities maybe with other faiths and add to your knowledge. And now I'll introduce Mrs. Naeem. She's going to be your presenter, and I'll pass you over now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think your leaders may know that I am a qualified teacher. I've been teaching in schools since over 22 years now. At the moment I teach in university. I teach at trained teachers. I cover all the special needs units in the teacher training degrees. My other role here is I'm actually on SACRE. So SACRE is a committee of teachers that get together and we actually write the curriculum for RE, for schools. So I've been a religious education coordinator for a long time, and I actually wrote the curriculum for Essex, for Islam. So what that does is it takes me to hundreds of schools throughout the year, and I do assemblies, lessons, workshops, not just on Islam, but on culture and other faiths as well. Whenever there is a school visit to the mosques, Chelmsford Mosque is one of them, and this is the other one, because I live smack in the middle of both. Then I always host, including Scouts as well. So I've done I've helped many Scouts gain their faith badges over the last 20 years or so, so lots of hard work there. Right, so what we're going to do is, the agenda for today is we're going to have a little talk on the history of the mosque first. Then we will talk a little bit about Islam, and I'll try and keep it low-key, but you can ask me lots and lots of questions at the end, whichever ones you like. Then we'll go down and we'll have a little tour, we'll look around. Then we'll come back up here, we'll do a little bit of dressing up and questions and answers at the end. So the history of this mosque, it was actually in 1982 when Muslims first started moving to Romford. There was some here before then, but that was the main time. Does anybody know why that might be? Why would they move to Romford from London mainly? Any ideas? Very quiet, aren't they? I'm sure they'll soon open up soon. Yes? Well done, that is one of the answers. London is really busy, really crowded, full of pollution. And Romford, believe it or not, in those days was actually countryside. So coming to Romford was like moving out into the country. It's definitely not country now, is it? Okay, and the other reason is that Romford, the main train line station, the line goes straight to Liverpool Street. So people, it was easy for them to either work in London and live here and commute to work, or the other way around. They could, work in London and then live here, or they could work here and live in London, that way around as well. And this place, Century Youth House, was hired out for Friday prayers. Friday is the holy day for Muslims, when everybody tries to get to a mosque, just like on Sundays Christians worship. And this is the place that used to be hired out, and it used to cost a lot of money actually, hiring that out. So Muslims really needed a place of their own, and it was in 2006, this fireplace centre, I don't know if any of you remember this as a fireplace centre, you already remember. Yeah. This used to be a fireplace centre, and it was actually adequate space, and there were 2 floors as well, and surrounding space as well. This was actually then bought by the Muslim community, and there was a lot of blips, but in the end the mosque did get a go-ahead in April 2007, and that's when it came into the papers. And this is actually the original mosque committee standing outside the doors of the mosque, and so, most of those are actually still there today. Are you in that picture? Sure. So he looked a lot different then, you see, so he can't recognise himself. It was a long time ago. So it was a very happy occasion actually. And then this mosque didn't just serve Romford, it served Seven Kings, Goodmays, Dagenham, all that area. I live in Brentwood, we don't have a mosque, so this is my local mosque as well as Chelmsford. But I think this is the one where I'm in more often, I'd say. And then later on, the car park was bought as well. I think you came in through the car park, and you might have seen the homeless shelter that was there. So the mosque has been expanding and has been growing and has been serving the community ever since it opened. We have parties here 2 or 3 times a year where everybody's invited and they get food and a nice talk in the mosque. And we also feed the homeless every Wednesday as well. So there's lots and lots going on. We had a careers fair here about 3 weeks ago, and that was excellent. It really was. That really did engage everybody. The whole of Romford came and beyond as well. So we do lots and lots of fun things here. Has anybody got any questions about what I've told you about so far only? Just about this mosque. Any questions? No? Adults? No? Okay, then we'll carry on then.
Can I just add about the Friday? We have another Friday project. So on Wednesday we feed here, and on Friday we feed in another building, so where the donations are collected and we take the money and buy food. And this week it's going to be chicken burgers and chips.
Yes.
And last week it was a curry.
Yeah, that's actually done through a church, which is worth pointing out. That's done through a church. It's through a Christian charity called Hope for Haven. So we work with the Christians quite closely as well.
What church is that then?
It used to be, what was the name of that church? North Street Halls in Hornchurch.
Oh, right.
That was the church that we used to go to actually serve the homeless. But then after that, they've bought a base now near Lidl, and it includes rooms where the homeless can stay as well.
Oh.
But the overall umbrella charity is Hope for Haven. So that is the one that we work with, and that's a Christian charity. In fact, the lady who runs it, her husband is a reverend as well. So, yeah, like I said, we do mix with everybody. Okay, so let's now go on to the religion of Islam. Does anybody know what the word Islam means? The clue is in the bird that's flying around in that picture. Yes? Hope? Not hope, but nearly. What is that bird, do you think? What kind of bird do you think that might be?
I think that might be a dove.
It is a dove, well done. And what is a dove the symbol of?
Peace.
Peace, well done. So, the word Islam actually means peace. And an anagram of the word Islam is salam, and that's how we greet each other. So when we greet each other, we say salam, and that means may peace be with you. Some of you may go to church. Do any of you go to church? Or you may have heard the reverend saying, may peace be with you. Yes? And everybody says, and also with you. That's exactly how we greet each other as well. So the word Islam means peace, and Islam is a complete way of life, which you will learn about in a minute. And Muslims have been here since a long time. Lots and lots of people think Muslims have just come here recently to Britain. Any ideas on which century Muslims may have come to Britain? Yes? 17th? We need to go way back. Way back. Yes.
8th century.
That's a brilliant answer. It's actually 7th century, but 8th is a brilliant answer, well done. And they first came over as traders to sell silk, perfumes, gold, and spices. And then later on, they came over in Queen Victoria's reign. Yes?
Why would they sell gold?
Because gold was rife in their countries. They're proper 22 karat gold. Even now, if you go to the Middle East, their gold is proper yellow gold. And spices all came from there, and so did silk and perfumes, musk and all of that was all made down there in the Middle East. So obviously, Europe didn't have them, and they came over here and they sold all those goods, made lots of money, and also enriched Britain as well. Imagine having food without any spices. It'd be very bland, wouldn't it? Okay. And then later on, Queen Victoria, when she ruled 3/4 of the world, and under her reign, Britain became Great Britain. So she ruled 3/4 of the world. A lot of those countries were Islamic countries. So when she reigned, lots and lots of Muslims came over. In fact, there was actually somebody who lived in a household. Has anyone seen the film Victoria and Hampton? Yes, you've heard of that story? And the secretary of the Queen was actually Muslim. Yes, so that is a very interesting story. And then later on, when the First and the Second World War happened in Britain, Britain was in trouble. They didn't have enough soldiers to fight. So they used Muslims from all the lands which were under Great Britain's rule, and lots of Muslims came over as soldiers to help fight with the British, which a lot of people don't know. And we helped you all to win the war as well. Okay? So that is very, very interesting. And at the moment, 2.4 million people live in the UK. 2.4 million people, and a lot of people were born and brought up here. Like myself, I was actually born and brought up here as well. Indonesia is the country that has the most number of Muslims in it. And Essex or Havering Islam is the second largest religion after Christianity. We believe in just the one God, and we try and call him Allah. Who's heard of the word Alleluia? Yes? Alleluia? The beginning part of Alleluia starts with Allah, doesn't it? And that's an Aramaic word, and it means praise be to God. And we believe that Allah is the original name for God, and basically in the Jewish language as well, in Hebrew, God was called Allah as well. And Aramaic, the language which Jesus spoke, it was Allah as well. Because that's where we get Alleluia from. So by saying Allah, we are actually worshipping the same true God. And we believe that Allah is the same God which Jews and Christians worship. The same God. So I am going to show you this. This is how we write Allah in Arabic. And if you ever came to a Muslim's house, you would always see this somewhere, this symbol to show that they're Muslim. You may also see a Muslim person wearing a necklace saying Allah on there as well. And that would show they're Muslim, just like if you saw a Christian wearing a cross, it would show they're Christian. Okay? So I'll pass this around and you can have a look. And this is a little bit of history of our religion. So we believe in Adam and Eve, just like Christians. We believe from Adam and Eve, the whole world came. So everyone's related to one another. And all the messengers, who can tell me what a messenger is or a prophet? Any ideas? What is a messenger or a prophet? Yes?
I think from what I know, a prophet is someone who's been given orders by God.
Yes, well done. You're clever, aren't you? Very clever boy. In fact, you're all really clever. A prophet is somebody which God sends to the world to tell everyone to be good. Okay? Usually there's something bad happening on the land when a prophet comes. God sends them to the land. So for example, Moses came when there was an evil Pharaoh around. He had made everybody into slaves. And he was told, Moses was told to tell Pharaoh to stop. So that's an example. So Abraham, this is the biggest link between Islam and the other religions. Abraham had two sons. From Isaac came Moses and Jesus. Okay? And Ishmael, Abraham's other son, who went to live in the deserts of Arabia, we believe that another messenger came right at the end called Muhammad, and hence all three religions are linked. And what we believe is that each religion that comes refreshes all the laws from before and updates any laws according to the time. So For example, Christianity brought on all the laws of Judaism, but refreshed anything else that Jesus said. And then when Muhammad came in Islam, he refreshed everything from before and added on a couple of more bits according to any bad that was happening with Muhammad. Does that make sense? Yes? So, Muhammad was born in Arabia in the Middle Ages in 570 AD, and he was religious and upset about what was happening amongst his people. Do you know any idea what may have been happening in Arabia, even though all the previous prophets had already come? There was still bad going on. So, times before Prophet Muhammad, any ideas what might have been going on? Yes?
Were there scarce famines? Famine, no food.
There was no food for the poor, so the rich were not looking after the poor. That is a good one. They had kept all the food to themselves. So yes, there was poverty with the poor. What about God? Were they worshipping the one true God, Allah, do you think? No.
Jewish God. Yes.
Yes.
They didn't believe.
Yes. No, basically we said that everybody believed in the same God, Allah, the same God of everybody. But do you think the people of Arabia were worshipping Allah? No. They were worshipping hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gods. Idols. 360 gods, one for each day of the year, basically. Okay, so worshipping lots and lots of gods. Okay, and either they were worshipping hundreds of gods, or what's the opposite? Good. They had completely forgotten about God. Completely forgotten about it. But they were too busy doing other bad things. Okay? And then the next one is what you said. Okay? The rich were not looking after the poor. They had kept all the money to themselves, and therefore there was a famine with the poor. Okay? And not only that, the rich couldn't look after the poor because they didn't even know what it felt like to be poor. There was no concept of feeling how the poor feel. They had absolutely no idea how the poor felt at all. So they were completely, had no sympathy. You know, sometimes to have sympathy and compassion, you need to be in that person's shoes, don't you, to understand what they feel like. Yes? Like bullying. Some people, they only know what it's like bullying when they get bullied themselves, don't they? So there was no concept of feeling how the poor feel at all. So these four I would like you to remember in order, because we are going to visit them in a minute. Okay? So try and remember those in order, because I'm going to test you in a minute. So Muhammad used to meditate in the cave on top of a big mountain called the Mountain of Light. And it was there that one day Angel Gabriel came to visit him there. Who knows another story why Angel Gabriel comes to visit someone? Mary, good. It's the same Angel Gabriel came to Mary and said, you're going to have a baby and you're going to call it Jesus. And Angel Gabriel came there to show Muhammad some words, and he told him to read, and Muhammad said, sorry, I can't read, because he never ever went to school. He was illiterate. Do you think Angel Gabriel gave up and went away, or asked again? He asked again, read, and again he said, sorry, I can't read, I never went to school, I can't read. And then for the third time, he asked him again, he said, read. And then all of a sudden there was a miracle. What do you think that miracle might be? He could read the words, and those words, we believe, are the words of the Quran. The words of the Quran were rules for mankind, directly from God, putting right all the things that were going wrong. Okay? And the Quran came down in which language, do you think? Any ideas?
Arabic.
Yes, well done, Arabic. Arabic is very similar to Aramaic, and it actually reads, the book opens from right to left, and it actually reads from right to left as well. Okay? There are 30 parts to the Quran. Each time something went wrong, God sent another revelation. Okay? You will never get any pictures of any people on here. Does anybody know why that is? What did Islam come to get rid of? What was the very first thing that Islam came to get rid of? Pardon? Yes, good, idol worship. So for that reason, we in a mosque never have any people, pictures of people or God on there, just in case somebody might start worshipping the wrong thing again. If we had pictures of Muhammad in here or God on here, people may start worshipping the wrong thing again, because that's exactly what was happening before Islam came. So that's why you will normally get calligraphy and things on a Quran, and in mosques you would never get any pictures of any people or gods. Okay? Right, let's pass that around. And we would normally really respect the Quran, and we would put it on a stand like this. Why would we do that then? Any ideas? Yes? Good. It wouldn't get dirty. Now you're sitting on the floor and holding the Quran, you may put it on the floor. So by putting the stand there, we would put the Quran on there, and it would keep it off the ground, because we pray on the floor. And also, it keeps it clean and it elevates it higher as well. Because the Quran, like I said, is actually God's word. Okay? And it's actually kept original. It has not changed since it was first revealed. So this is why we try and keep it higher, and we would pop it on a stand like that. Okay? And this stand is hand carved out of wood, but there are so many different kinds. So if you pass that along, and I'll keep giving you more things. This one is actually in the shape of a mosque dome, and it's got brass pieces in there. Can you see the brass stars in there? Okay, so that is a different style one. And this one is from Morocco. This has actually got plastic pieces hammered into there. Different colours in there, so that's a different style one. And this one's my favourite one. It's really cute. It's a little baby children's one. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about the school later on downstairs. Okay, when we read the Quran, we would normally cover our hair as a sign of respect. Okay, and when we come to the mosque, we try and cover our hair as well. If you ask your grandmothers or great-grandmothers, if they're still around, ask them how they dressed when they went to church. And they will tell you they always wore a hat. Okay, and that is the way it was actually in the olden days. If you look at Victorian times, they never went out, did they, without a hat. On Friday, I have been invited to a Tudor event. It's a Tudor harvest concert, and I've been told I have to dress as a Tudor, and everybody's dressing as a Tudor. And in my sort of letter that I've got, I was told I have to cover my hair and my arms and my legs. And I thought, well, that's easy for me because I do that anyway. So that will be on Friday, I'm doing that. Right, so who would like to try on a hat? Let's have the boys first. Yes, come on then. Let's have a go. I'll show you an ordinary skull cap first. This is what someone, like a Jewish person, would wear as well. Do you want to turn around? You are allowed to take photos if you want to.
Oh,
yes. Okay, so that's an ordinary skull cap, like someone would ordinarily wear when they come to the mosque. Come on then.
I just have a question asked first.
Yes.
What do these images mean in there?
That is calligraphy, and in there it says God's word. Okay? Right, come on then. I know you want to try on a hat. This one is a little bit more fancier. This is one probably that somebody would wear on Friday, because Friday is a holy day for Muslims. And I've got another fancy one. You want to try that? Look at the larger one for the larger head. There you go. And that one is one that you would wear on a festival. Okay, do you want to come on this side? If we keep them in order, so that's simple, that's medium. This side. And then you come on this side, so they get fancier as they come down the line. Okay? And then we'll do the girls after that. It's equal opportunities in Islam, despite what you hear in the media. Right, let's have you first.
To the left.
Yeah.
Well, stay there.
Let's have you as well.
All that way. Up. No,
stay where you are.
that way so we can see.
Right, this is a slip-on one. No, you can keep it as it is, it's fine. It's fine. It's stretchy.
We've lost
Right,
Rihanna.
turn around. That's it. That is a slip-on one, very easy to put on. Okay, and I have got another one here. Do you know, this is great because we're all going to get a chance to dress up today, everyone, including the adults. Because I've got enough outfits for you all, because I bought 20, believe it or not. Outfits. Because you said,
There's only a few of us.
Laura said 20, didn't she?
Yeah.
Right, this one is a little bit different. This has got a band here, okay, and it is an Arabic style one. Whenever I wear this, everyone thinks I'm Arabian.
Yeah.
Whenever I wear this. Okay, there you go. Right, I've got one more snazzier one here.
Go up there.
Tiger skin one. Leopard skin. It is snazzy. We like our fashion, us girls. There is actually fashion, believe it or not, in headscarves as well. Right, if you turn around, I'll show everyone. Because these are all different styles. People often ask me, how do you wear your headscarf? So this is a slip-on one. It's got a long piece. So what you do is you whirl that around. Okay.
You don't have to clip it in place, it'll stay.
Well, yes, this bit you would put a
Yeah.
pin here. You would. It all comes with practice, to be honest. They're having a great time, aren't they? Right, do you want to go and sit down there, everyone? Yes? We will have time more to dress up later. Leave all your bits on. If you leave your bits on, it'll be easy for me afterwards, because I can just bung on all the outfits to go with the hats. Right, have we looked at the Quran? Did the adults want to see that as well, quickly? That's it, if you can pass them along there. And then they can have a look as well. Right, let's press on, shall we? In the Quran, there were 5 things which God told everyone to start doing based on what was happening in the land. Now this is where I'm going to test your memory skills. These are the 5 pillars, and the 5 pillars are a little bit like a house where the roof is Islam, and the 5 pillars are 5 things which everyone needs to start doing in order to keep the roof lovely and strong. Okay? Right, let's see if you can remember what the first thing was that was going wrong in Arabia. Yes.
They're worshipping too many gods.
Good, and what do you think God said? Carry on worshipping hundreds of gods? No, what did he say?
Worship only the one.
Good, and what is he called?
Allah.
Good, we are doing so well here. So we build our first pillar. The first pillar was one sentence which summarizes our whole faith. And the first part of that sentence is there's only one God, Allah. Okay? The second part is, and Muhammad is his messenger. Why do we say Muhammad and not Jesus or Moses or Noah or Adam? Because we believe in all of them, don't we? That's okay, you can just leave it there, it's fine. Any ideas? Why would we say Muhammad in that sentence and not Moses or Jesus. I talked about this when I showed you that grid of prophets. Do you remember? What did I say to you? Can you remember? Good, good. So, Muhammad is the last one. By saying his name, it means we believe in all the previous messengers, including what they taught us as well. That was excellent. No wonder you lot are all clever, because your leader's clever as well. Okay? And did you know that if we said Moses in that sentence, well, what about Jesus and what about Muhammad? This is why we say Muhammad right at the end, because it means we believe in all the previous messengers and what they taught us as well. Okay? And that sentence is actually what makes us Muslim. It's called the Shahada. And you will always find that in our houses somewhere written in Arabic, or somewhere in a mosque as well. So this is the sentence in Arabic, and it reads from right to left, just like I showed you earlier, like Aramaic. Okay, so let's start on this side again, and then pass it down that way, and then back to the adults. Right, who can remember the second thing that we said? Yes.
That they just forgot about.
Yes, good. They'd completely forgotten about God. So what do you think God said? Carry on forgetting about me? What do you think he said? What's the opposite of forget? Remember. Start remembering me, God said. How can you remember God? Any ideas? How can you remember God? Yes. Praying. Well done. Not a bad Scouts group this is at all, is it? Prayer. Start praying, God said. And you know, I said to you that people were not praying at all. We got it big time. This is why we got it big time. God said, pray to me how many times a day? Not 6, 5, like your 5 fruit and veg a day. 5. Okay, the next one is, who can remember? Now you got this one, didn't you? What was the third bad thing happening in Arabia? Can you remember?
The rich people weren't looking after the poor people.
Good, good.
They weren't giving them enough food.
Yes.
And
Yep.
ended up being famine.
Yes, amongst the poor. Good. So what do you think God said to all the rich people? Did he say, carry on keeping the money to yourselves? What did he say? Give what? Money. What's the cha word I'm looking for? What's the cha word when you give money to the poor? Charity. Good. Charity is right in the middle and keeps the roof lovely and strong at the top. Okay? What's the fourth thing? Who can remember the fourth thing? Yes, bad happening in Arabia.
The fourth thing that was...
Yes? It was to do with the poor, wasn't it? Do you remember? Yes.
They weren't realising how they felt, so it was almost like they had no sympathy.
Excellent, well done. The rich had been rich for so long, they didn't even know what it felt like to be poor. Because, like I explained, sometimes you have to be in the shoes of that person to really know what they feel like. You can't just think, oh, they feel like this. You have to understand it by being there yourself sometimes. Okay? So what do you think God said then to everybody? How can you feel how the poor are feeling? How can you feel that? Yes? Yes, but how? How? This is a clever one, this one. Yes?
For making them, by giving them what you have to make them feel the same as you.
Okay, not quite. We're looking at losing something here. So everyone had to lose something to feel how the poor feel. How can you feel how the poor feel? There's your clue there. You got it.
Fasting.
Fasting. There you go. Fasting. What is fasting? Who knows what fasting is? Yes.
It's when Muslims don't eat or...
Yeah. Not only Muslims, Christians fast, Jews fast as well. The Jews fasted only last week. This is why you couldn't come last week. We actually opened the Jewish fast here, the mosque. We call the synagogue over. They were fasting last week. So fasting is where you give up your food and drink for a short period of time, enough for you to feel how the poor feel. Say you didn't have your supper tonight, would you feel hungry?
Yes.
Yes. Would you feel how the poor feel?
Yes.
And would you be more likely to help them than afterwards?
Yes.
Yes, so that's how it works. By the end of our fasting month, we're giving away loads of money and food and clothes to the poor. The last pillar of Islam is a once-in-a-lifetime journey to Mecca, Arabia, which is where Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born. But what we do is we establish these four first. Once we've done this, we complete our religion. In a way, we complete our faith by trying to go to pilgrimage. Okay? And all of those 5 pillars keep the faith lovely and strong at the top. If any of those pillars were broken down, what would happen to the roof of that house? It would fall down. So the religion crumbles, or your religion becomes weak, if any of those are not in place. Okay? Right, let's carry on now. And basically, this is how everything then changed. Once Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, came, the idol worshipping changed to the believing in the oneness of God. People who had completely forgotten God, the concept of remembering God had been introduced. Rich not looking after the poor. The rich then have to look after the poor because the charity we have to give 2.5% of our money to those in need. And no concept of feeling how the poor feel changed to concept of feeling how the poor feel through fasting. The first pillar I have already spoken to you about. The second pillar is prayer. And like I said already, we pray 5 times a day. And the 5 times a day is actually brilliant because what it does, it breaks down the whole day, organizes the whole day so that it's good for us mentally, basically. Say when you go to school, your teacher says you've got 5 lessons today in the morning. That's a bit much, isn't it? Okay? But say your teacher said you have 1 lesson first, literacy, then a break, then you have numeracy, then you've got lunchtime, then you've got 2 lessons in the afternoon. That's much more manageable, isn't it? So we have got our own timetable to actually manage our stress levels during the day. So let's have a look at the first time when we pray. What do you think is the first time? Let's have a look.
The sun rises.
Good. Dawn time, and then? Yes? No, we've done the morning. We've done the morning. There's your clue. Yes.
Exactly midday.
Good. Well done. Lunchtime. And then it's the afternoon. It's the afternoon after lunchtime. And then it's the evening, somebody said. And then night. And the nighttime prayer just happened now downstairs. Do you agree that by doing this we're remembering God the whole day and not just once in the morning and then forgetting about Him? Yes. Otherwise, what happened before would happen again, wouldn't it? We'd pray in the morning and then we'll party and all the rest of the day. But by praying 5 times a day, we are structuring our whole day and remembering God the whole day. And it is a continuous counseling process. 5 times a day, we are revealing all our worries and problems, anxieties, anger to God. So it really, really helps us. Okay? And all these positions, they are scientifically proven to help us. They are like yoga positions. So each position gets rid of negative energy. Which position do you think is the best position there to keep us calm in there? Any ideas? Yes.
Sunset.
No, we do these rituals every prayer, not just at sunset. But you are right when you said the sunset position. That position there is brilliant because all the chemicals in your brain They all get balanced and you feel peace when you're on the floor. Really amazing. This one here and the one at the end. Okay? Yes, have you got a question? We're going to do questions at the end, but you can, is it to do with this? Yeah.
So my RS teacher, he said that they don't have to pray at them times, they can like make up for it, like.
Yes, that's correct. Obviously, when you're teaching, you can't leave the whole class of 30 children, can you, and then go and pray. So yes, there is a time limit. So, for example, the lunchtime prayer, you can read approximately up to 2, 3 o'clock. Okay? And there is a leeway. Some people, if they really can't leave their jobs, then they can go home and pray afterwards, catch up with them afterwards. There is no black and white, hard and fast rules. Also, more and more nowadays, there are multi-faith prayer rooms everywhere. Even Lakeside has got multi-faith prayer room upstairs. Has anyone been there? Have a look on the top floor where the food is.
I've seen it, I've seen some.
Hospitals.
Yeah, Queens have got.
Yeah,
some.
hospitals, prisons, universities, we've got multi-faith prayer room Marion. So there are multi-faith prayer rooms everywhere, and you can pray anywhere. You do not need to come to a mosque. Okay? So timetable, God gave us, but also, what else may we need just in case we might forget? Teachers don't get time to look at the clock, we might forget it's time to pray. What do you have in your schools to tell you when it's the next lesson? A bell. So we have a reminder, just in case we might forget to pray. We have a public reminder it's called the Adhan, it's the call to prayer. Who's been on holiday to Turkey or to Egypt? And have you heard the call to prayer outside? Big and loud? You just can't miss it, can you? It's basically, get to the mosque and pray now kind of thing. Otherwise you feel really guilty. In this country, it's done within the mosque. You don't hear that out in Romford Town Centre, do you? So I'm going to put a little bit of the call to prayer on for you, and you can actually hear it. And I think you're all clever enough to look at the words, and I'll ask you a quiz question afterwards. Okay? Let's pop the prayer on, and I want you to read the words. No, Muhammad is his messenger. Oh, yeah. Yes? And the first part was? Good. And what is that? What is all of that? I talked about this earlier, didn't I? It's actually the first pillar of Islam, isn't it? It's that sentence there. So the call to prayer has that first sentence in there. So already when you go and pray, you're fulfilling the first and the second pillar. Okay? So that reminder is there. Now the other way that God has done to make sure we read it, so the first one is He's organised our prayer into a timetable to make sure we do it. The second way to make sure we do it is he has given us a call to prayer. And the third one to make sure we do it is it is a set prayer. Otherwise, I might turn around and say to God, well, I already prayed for slim body in the morning, and I already prayed for chocolate at lunchtime, and I already prayed for Xbox game in the afternoon. I might leave the evening prayer. Does that make sense? Because there's only so much you can pray for, isn't there? So we have got a set prayer, which I think is very, very interesting to make sure we do it, which are verses of the Quran and they're said in Arabic. But at the end of the set prayer, we can then make our own prayer to God, where we can thank Him, we can ask Him for things. So our prayer actually is a whole package of lots of things. Okay? And why do you think we pray in Arabic and not in any other language? I told you earlier that I was born here. And my first language is English. So why do I read in Arabic and not in Cockney rhyming slang? Yes. It was, but so it's not the language of the time now, is it?
Arabic was the language that the Quran was given to Muhammad.
Good. And who wrote the Quran?
God.
God. So by saying the words in Arabic, we are saying the exact words of God and not changing them. Okay? It's a little bit like, say you watch a film like Shrek in French, does it come out the same? No, it's completely different. I have actually watched Shrek in French because I can speak French. And it was rubbish, to be honest with you. The jokes didn't come out the same, the atmosphere didn't come out the same. And that's exactly the same as when we read the Quran in a different language. So one is it's the word of God, and the other one, do you know? What's the other reason why we read the Quran?
It's unchanged.
No? What's the other reason why we read the Quran in Arabic and in no other language? He doesn't know. Oh dear. Rhyming. It's rhyming. It's beautiful rhyme. If we translated and read that, the rhyme would go. Okay? Because you may be able to find a couple of words that mean the same, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be rhyming. So each sentence is rhyming by reading it in its original language. I'm going to put the first chapter of the Quran on now, which is what we start our prayers with, and that is that. And if you listen out to the rhyme at the end of each sentence.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا
sentence, and then at the end he said, Amen. What do you think that might be? Amen. Good, well done. Now if I translated that in English, it wouldn't be rhyming, would it? The rhythm and the rhyme is not there. So that is very, very important. Now what do you think that might be in English? This is a question for the adults. It is. How do you know that then? It was a brilliant guess. Well done. It is the Lord's Prayer. So we start off our prayers each time with the Lord's Prayer, which is the prayer that Jesus taught us. And when I was your age, we learned that off by heart. It's a shame the children do not know that off by heart anymore. But when I was your age, we used to learn that off by heart every time. We do wash ourselves before praying. We actually copy all the previous messengers. Did you know that Jesus also did this as well? I don't know if anybody has seen Jesus of Nazareth, but there's a scene in there where Jesus washes his feet and his hands, his arms and his face before he goes in to the temple. That makes us respectful in front of God. and we try and face the direction of Mecca to pray. The reason is that if everybody in the whole world, all at the same time, all stand together and face one direction, it promotes brotherhood, love and unity. Okay? Now these are lots and lots of prayer mats, all joined together to make a massive carpet. And what we do is we stand on this line here, and we face this way, and the point of the dome points towards Mecca. Okay? In our houses, we would not have a carpet like this. We would actually have a individual prayer mat like this. Okay? I have got one here from my own house, and there's something on there. What can you see? It's a compass to show us which way to face. In a mosque, the carpet is already laid in the right direction, but in our houses we may not know which way to face. So we have a compass to help us know which way to face. This is a little bit old-fashioned. What do you think we use nowadays? Our iPhones. You know that compass app that's on the iPhone? That was put on there for Muslims. Why else would someone need a compass? You ever thought about it? It was actually put on there for Muslims, so they could know which way to face. The other thing, you know that call to prayer that you heard? When I was your age, we used to have a battery alarmed clock in our house. Battery operated alarm clock, and that would go off with the call to prayer recorded in it 5 times a day. That's how we would know when it's time to pray. But nowadays, again, there's apps on our phones which go off and we know when it's time to pray. Right, I'll leave this in, you can have a look. And then I already mentioned earlier that Friday is the day when people try and get to the mosque to pray. And there is a sermon as well. It's a little bit different. There is a sermon before the prayer. And this is actually the place where the imam would sit. And an imam, do you want to come and have a go and sit here? Because that's what an imam would do, and you've got the right hat as well. You can sit up here. Yeah, on the top step. Okay, so the imam would sit there, and it would be a higher place so he can see everybody. The bigger the mosque is, the higher this part is, and they would sit on there and they would give a sermon on how to be good to your neighbours, how to treat the elderly, how to respect your parents, all kinds of things. And there would be a loudspeaker system like that, and when he speaks, everybody downstairs and everywhere else in the different parts of the mosque would be able to hear that speech. Okay? Right, I think we're going to have a little break and go down and look around now. And then we'll come up, finish the pillars off, and have a little bit of fun dressing up, and then we'll have questions and answers. Okay? So if everybody can please line up there at that door, at the stairs, and we will go down and have a look around.
Are you coming back up here already?
Yes, we are. You can leave your bags here, your coats here, it'll be easier. In that way you won't lose anything. So I showed you the school downstairs, I showed you the divisions, the classrooms, to show you that children will start learning from an early age. They would learn Arabic first, and then verses of the Quran off by heart, so that they can pray by the time they're older. One thing else I forgot to mention was that prophet stories and things they would learn as well. So all the stories that are in the Bible, Noah's Ark, Moses' story, all of them are in the Quran. Okay? In fact, Jesus is mentioned in the Quran 25 times, yet Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is only mentioned 4 times. People get shocked at that one. So some of the other prophets are mentioned more in the Quran, and all those stories, but also etiquettes. Manners are missing in a lot of children nowadays. And through the Quran, we would teach them how to sit and eat, how to say pleases and thank yous and greet each other, how to look after neighbours, the elderly, respect parents, respect teachers as well. Okay? All that kind of stuff. Charity, I mentioned a little bit downstairs. 2.5% of our money is calculated, our spare money. Anybody who's got £1,000 or more, this is how we calculate it, that's the amount. £1,000 or more means then that you have to look at your extra money, and 2.5% has to be calculated and given to the poor. And we give to somebody who has under £1,000. So someone under £1,000 spare is classed as poor in this, that's according to this country. And someone who has more than £1,000 is classed as rich, according to the currency of this country. Okay? And by doing this, it's a brilliant system. It redistributes the wealth in society. And when it's done correctly, it actually does get rid of poverty. Okay? And then the next one is fasting. Who knows the time when Jesus fasted in the desert for 40 days? Yes?
Wasn't it the time at end of February, start of March to the end of March?
Sort of, yes, Easter time. But do you know what the low word is, the month? What is it? Yes?
Lent.
Lent. Good. 40 days and 40 nights, Jesus fasted 24-hour fast. Did you know that? And the Jewish community also, if you look at Moses, he fasted 40 days up on the mountain just before receiving the 10 Commandments. And that was a 24-hour fast, evening to evening. So I actually do know a reverend who fasts for 40 days in Lent, and every evening he eats. He does it the proper Jesus way. There are some people who do it that way. But this is an example of an update of our religion, because when Islam came, first of all, we actually fast in, you know the story I told you about the Quran coming down in the cave? Do you remember? I spoke about Angel Gabriel. We fast in that month, Ramadan, and that is the month in which the Quran came down, and we only fast during daylight hours. So God updated the religion by the time Islam came, and we only fast daylight hours. And then people think that our fast is difficult. So it's actually very easy. So what we would do is to eat a breakfast in the morning, dawn time, a cooked breakfast, so it's heavy. Then during the day we wouldn't eat or drink for a short while. Say you missed your lunch, that would be enough, wouldn't it, for you to remember how the poor feel. And then in the evening we would have a big meal. And that is enough really for us to remember how the poor feel, and it really makes us grateful for all the food we've got to eat. What do you think we have at the end of this whole month of not eating? A festival. Does anybody know what it's called? Yeah, anyone? Yes? Eid, well done, Eid. Eid means celebration, Al means off, Fitr means breaking. What are we breaking that day? Our fast. And you know, all the food we did not have in Ramadan, we make up for it on that day. We have lots and lots and lots to eat. The celebrations are very, very similar to Christmas. So you know, at Christmas we will put lights up in our houses and things. We put lights up in our houses on Eid. In Islamic countries we would have lights outside as well. I'll ask you in a minute. Let me just finish this bit off. In the morning we would go to the mosque and we would pray our Eid prayer, just like on Christmas you go to the church and do a Christmas service. This is quite traditional, putting henna on our hands, and this is really rife actually now within Britain, isn't it? Who's had a henna tattoo? I know you have because you're nodding your head. Henna tattoos are everywhere. And everybody dresses in beautiful clothes, and usually we would dress up in the country costume that we are originally from, traditional costumes. You know that you get the traditional costumes for each country. So we would do that. And lots of food. We would get together with our families and friends and grandparents and everybody, and we would have a big meal together. Everyone together, just like a big Christmas dinner. Okay? That's the bit where I'm in action in the kitchen every Eid. I'm the eldest. I don't even get a break on Eid. Eid is the busiest time of year for me. Everyone comes to me and I'm busy cooking away, cooking away, cooking away, and my phone's ringing and texts are coming in, and then I just put my phone away and I leave that day for my family. And my best part of Eid is presents. Lots and lots of presents. It's quite traditional to give money nowadays because children are spoiled and they've got too much of everything. So what are you supposed to give them? So if you give money, then they can go out and they can get whatever they want. Okay, so lots and lots of presents. Yes, now we'll do your question.
Is there a set day for Eid?
Right, it is a set day in the sense of it comes right after Ramadan, but our calendar changes. So our calendar is based on the moon, okay, and it is 10 or 11 days shorter than the solar calendar. So every year Ramadan goes back 10 days. Okay? So for example, if Ramadan that went a couple of months ago, say it was 25th December, then this year it would be 15th December. Does that make sense? And we have our own calendars alongside the solar calendar. So if you can see this calendar here, we have the solar calendar, and then the small writing is our lunar calendar. So we actually keep an eye on both. We keep an eye on when our Islamic month is, just in case we may miss Eid or Ramadan, and we keep an eye obviously on the English months as well.
I heard one day, a couple of years ago,
Yes.
Eid was on my birthday.
Was it?
20th June.
Oh, okay, yes. Yes, it is actually next year now. I think it's going to start in April. It's actually going back more into the spring months at the moment. Right, Mr. Mahmood, can we have the lights on, please? Let's get to the exciting bit. Right, who wants to dress up? Shall we start off with a small girl first?
That'll be you then, Hannah.
Well, I'm glad there's a small girl here because we needed a small costume as well to be used. If you come here and pop this over your trousers, please.
Being small is a good thing.
And what we're going to do is we're going to have a guessing game because we are going to guess which country she is from.
I love guessing games.
I like guessing games. I love games. I'm forever playing games with children. Even here in the mosque. I tell you, when you have a mosque, people come in and watch me playing games with the kids, they'd kick me out and say, what on earth is she doing? Is she teaching them Islam or is she playing games with them? But we have Islamic games. We play really fun Islamic games. Because if you don't make it fun for the children, they're not going to come, are they?
No, it's true.
You should be able to.
Might get you out here.
It'd be easier to get out. It will go in. I know, I can tell by your... There you go. There, it's done. Okay. Right, where's the scarf one?
Oh, it's there. It's on the floor.
Right, okay. If you can go and stand there in front of the table, and if I can borrow you, please, hat off. And let's do this one. Let's pop your hat over there. And then what we're going to do is we are going to guess which country both of these are. One second. All over the place here.
We're
Right.
going with the shirts we were just saying. Fancy.
That's it. We're on.
Catherine.
I keep on tripping over because it's so long.
Doesn't it? You've got a shirt in there.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about the tripping over.
It's down there.
It's only a car.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Yes! Yes! Oh!
It's getting really exciting.
I think that won't be coming off anytime soon.
Right, which country are these two from? Shall we give it a go? You're very good at RE. Let's see, are you any good at geography?
No, no.
I'm sure you are.
Come from Dubai.
Not Dubai, no. And one more guess? Common adults?
Egypt.
No, it doesn't have to be an Islamic country.
It's Egypt.
This hat gives it away,
I'd
doesn't
say,
it?
oh, I was going to say India.
It is India, well done. Yes, it is India. Right, let me see what else.
Come on, Dean. Come on.
I don't know if you want to help me.
Yes.
Maybe you can do. Who's the tallest one here?
Callum. No,
If
Brianna.
you can come here, because you've got the right hat on as well.
It's
So it's a Gamiz with this. Right, if I can borrow you.
It's the hair that makes it funny. It's
It's
just.
It's just. The Catherine's quick, isn't it?
Right, hat off. Okay.
I think I've got this one.
I think that's from India.
This is from India. I think I know.
I mean, Egypt.
Right, can I borrow the smallest girl out of you two?
Brianna. I mean, Nick. Nick,
You're slimmer.
I know
what
this
Oh my god, I had one of them. Yeah, I had one of them.
What, that hat?
Exactly, one of them. Exactly the same as that. I had one of them.
Brilliant. Right, that outfit is from Pakistan. This one, this fez gives it away.
Yeah,
Some
the
of
fez
us
is-
might remember that's a Tommy Cooper hat.
Yeah, I remember.
So what country is this boy from? That fez gives it
I
away.
can say it's either Egypt or China.
Right, you're done.
You were literally
Tiny.
They were fake tops. And they were like this.
Right, can I have you next?
So small.
I used to
Oh,
wear.
I know that.
I used to wear just like
This one's easy, really, isn't it? Right, you can take photos if you want to. And adults, if anyone wants to dress, let's take this off.
Come on, Karen, dress up.
Did you want to dress up?
Yes.
Are you sure?
We'll get together then.
Do you want to stay? You could. This has got a tie attack. Yes.
Is there anything that fit me?
I'll have a look. This might, if you look at it, I don't know if you look at it.
Oh no, you can wear this.
So you're not Japanese?
This one.
Every time I
No,
go
it's
to
not.
Florida,
Try this one.
and all of my family get these huge sombreros. We just have this massive picture.
This is like a bullfight.
Yeah. I thought I had a lot of fancy dresses.
So I was thinking.
Oh, look.
So that's Spanish. What's that? Because that looks like a flamenco dress.
Somewhere
That's
I
actually
that.
What about you? Did you
No,
try?
I'm too tired.
Did you want to try that? You sure?
Some of them look good.
Right, can you all stand in a line? Let's have photos because we need to do questions as
Well, I
well.
know that that's Spanish.
That is a
Yes.
proper Spanish.
Have you
That should
found
give you a
it?
clue.
Wait, have you found
costume,
it?
That is.
Have you found
Yeah,
it?
so then that, where does
The picture of Callum in this,
where does
in your
flamenco
dress.
dancing?
A little bit more
I
this
can't
way.
see you, Callum. Stop hiding.
Oh, is it?
Oh, this way.
And then I'll tell you what else. If you can hold this, you know, like you do. That's it, like that in that hand. That's it, like that. That's it, like that. To show that, you know, like a bullfighter.
Wait,
pull it off.
Right. Have you all had your photo
Yeah,
done?
then we'll
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, if you can sit down as you are.
Please
Don't know whether we're in it.
Damn it.
And what we're going to do now is have lots of questions, and then we can go down and have some snacks. You're all really excited now, aren't you?
They've livened up there.
That's
haven't they?
why I keep this bit at the end, because it really excites everyone. It definitely makes me excited. Right, come on then, what questions would you like to ask? Either anything that you learned today in Islam, or anything that you might want to personally ask me as a real-life Muslim who you've met today. Okay? Yes.
You know them with the clocks?
That is the times of prayers, yes. So we have got 6:30 in the morning is the sunrise prayer. 1:30 is the lunchtime prayer. 4:45 is the afternoon prayer at the moment. 7:10 is the evening prayer, and 7:45 is the night prayer.
Why is it?
Okay? And 1:30 is actually the Friday prayer, the Friday one. And you asked me why the nighttime prayer is green, because it means you can still pray it now. Green means go. So now, anybody who hasn't read their nighttime prayer can still pray it. When the time when it goes red, it means then you can't pray it anymore. Okay? That was a clever observation there. Yes?
You know when it says the time limit and it's the 7:28
Where does it say
on
that?
the
On the
bottom?
bottom, she's just in it.
Yes.
Does that mean how much time you've got left to pray?
The time limit is really when you start praying, and you need to pray for the congregation. You need to pray at that time. Okay. So that 7:28 is actually from the nighttime prayer when everybody got together and started praying. So then that one will change at sunrise time now, that time. Okay? Right, any other questions? Start racking your brains.
When you
everyone.
do pray, do you pray out loud or like when...
The Imam prays out loud,
Right.
who is like the Reverend, and we pray in a whisper behind him, or we don't even need to pray when he's leading. When we pray at home, we pray in a whisper. Okay? Unless we are leading the family. In my family, we all pray together, so my husband leads the family and he prays out loud, like an Imam, which is the best way to get everyone going, to be honest, because that is our time as a family. It's, you know, like when you all eat together on the dining table, and it promotes sort of social, isn't it?
Yeah.
And community building and bonding with the family. We pray together because that's what it promotes. Okay? Yes.
You told us about Ramadan and
Yes.
Eid.
Yes.
Then what are there any other main big holidays that you have?
Yep, there sure is. We are very, very lucky because we have 2 Eids in Islam, and our second Eid is to do with the pilgrimage. So the pilgrimage to Arabia is a once-in-a-lifetime journey for those who can afford it and who have got health. And basically, we visit this sanctuary. This is called the Kaaba, and that is, Kaaba means cube. And did you know the story about Abraham when he was asked to sacrifice his son? This is actually in the Bible. Yes, you know that story?
In learning about
Yes. It is in the curriculum. Yeah. Yes.
at that time he was told by God to go up and sacrifice his son to
Yes.
show how trustworthy he was.
Excellent. And do you know what God put in his son's place to save him? Do you know?
Was it a sheep?
Yes, excellent. He did, to save the son. So Abraham sacrificed the sheep instead and gave the meat out to the poor. So do you know what? When we go to Hajj, which is pilgrimage, what we believe is that Abraham, to thank God for saving his son, he built this big cube, and everybody goes there to worship that same one God there once a year. It's once in your lifetime, and there is a season when everybody goes, and after that pilgrimage, whether you go or you don't, we have one more Eid, another Eid. And Eid means celebration, Al means of, Ada means sacrifice, so it's the celebration of sacrifice. What do you think we have a lot to eat on that Eid? You just said, didn't you, that God put a sheep there, so we have a lot of lamb, roast lamb. It's called the meat Eid, basically. So we have lots and lots of meat to eat. But all the other celebrations are the same. We do actually give out Eid cards as well. Here they are. We give out Eid cards and presents and dress up. This Eid card is made, handmade, because in the olden days you couldn't buy Eid cards from this country. But now, thanks to Clinton cards, you can actually buy Eid cards in this country now, or through the internet. But in the olden days, we used to make our own Eid cards. So we, just like Christmas, we do give Eid cards out as well. And all the other celebrations are all the same. These I must not forget to give to you when we go downstairs. Right, so that's answered your question about other festivals. We are very, very lucky. We have two massive celebrations in the year. Okay? Right, any more questions? Yes?
Just on that card, what was the number?
That means Happy Eid.
Happy.
Yeah.
I did one.
Eid Mubarak. Yes, it means Happy Eid. Well spotted. Okay, any more questions? No? Adults? Have you got any?
Yes.
Don't forget
I'm
you
trying
said.
to find another question.
Is pilgrimage recommended young or middle-aged, or what's the recommendation?
Pilgrimage is recommended as soon as possible, really, because you need a lot of energy for it. And if you've got the money and the health, then it should be done as soon as possible, because you don't know when you're going to die. So we believe when we go up there, we have to answer to God, have we done our 5 pillars? And if you haven't done your pilgrimage, but you have been going on holiday every year, then obviously God is going to ask you. Okay, so I would recommend you go as early as possible. I went in 2006, so I was pretty young then, and yes, it was very tiring. You need lots of energy, lots and lots of energy. It's a lot of walking around.
So what does it involve?
It involves basically going to that place where the cube is, going around it 7 times, and we read verses of the Quran while we go around it 7 times. And it's a big circumference because there are 4 million people there. So the circumference of going around is very, very big. It's a couple of miles going around. And then there's other rituals as well. We actually go to the place where Abraham sacrificed the lamb, and we go there, we pray there. There's a big mountain of mercy. Lots of walking around, but very, very good spiritual journey. It changed my life actually going there. It really did. I had 2 landmarks in my life that brought me to the religion. The first one was 9/11. When that happened, it brought me to my faith, because I had to come to my faith, because people were asking me lots of hard questions. I live in a village in Brentwood. I was the only Muslim around, and people asked me lots of questions and I didn't know the answers. So I had to delve into my faith to answer those questions. And then the second one was the strengthening, if you like, of my faith was when I went to pilgrimage. So I was religious already by that stage, but when I went there, I was like blown away. So that, I think, further strengthened me. So those are the 2 landmarks that I can think of in my life that brought me to this stage. Right, now you can have your question.
Why would someone need to walk around the cube 7 times?
Basically, that's what Abraham did, okay? Abraham did that, and we copy Abraham. And 7 times, basically, do you know, it's really interesting, but people have been looking at energy levels and things. and 7 times is just the right amount to get rid of all your negative energy and make you calm. So there are scientific reasons why as well, which I've studied, which are a bit beyond you, I think, but it gets rid of all your negative energy, and after 7 of those, you're all calm. Okay? So very interesting. The postures are 7 as well, with prayer. There's lots of things to do with 7. Okay, anything else? There was somebody here who had their hand up, did I see? No? Okay, adults, any more questions? Nothing, there's not many questions. I usually get so many that I have to stop at the end myself.
Oh, yeah, actually. What age do people start fasting? Do children fast?
Puberty, again.
Puberty,
Yeah, children don't need to fast. They're too young, basically. If they want to, they can, but they're at their growing age.
Yes.
Puberty is the correct age to start fasting. Anyone who is old doesn't need to fast if they're on medication, or if they're ill, they don't need to fast. Anyone travelling, anyone disabled, there are so many exemptions. It's basically for young, fit, healthy adults. And it isn't as bad as what they portray in the media.
Yes. The symbol of Islam,
Yes.
it almost looks like a crescent moon with a star. Why is that the symbol of Islam?
Because, guess what? Because our calendar is based on the moon.
Oh.
Yes, and astronomy was actually invented by Muslims. So there's lots and lots of inventions which Muslims did to do with astronomy, because in the Middle Eastern lands it was very, very clear skies, so they could see the stars, and they studied the stars, and originally some instruments as well were invented by looking at the position of the stars. You know, the compass, for example, facing towards Mecca was originally made by looking at the position of the stars and things. So astronomy is quite strong in Islam, and our calendar is based on the moon as well. Okay?
Is there constellations and things like that?
Yes.
Lots of
Yes. They've studied the constellations, the position of the stars. Navigation instruments were actually invented because of that. The compass, the astrolabe is another instrument that was invented. The calendar was invented because of the stars. So many things. In fact, we had a big lecture here on astronomy, didn't we, a couple of months ago? Where I did a whole... Yes.
Astronomy, discussion and about her knowledge.
We had a humanist, and I was the Muslim person, and we did both aspects of astronomy, which was really interesting. We have lots of interfaith activities here as well. We're both part of the Interfaith Forum as well, and we host them here as well with food. That was a very, very good observation there, wasn't it, of that astronomy? Any more questions before we take off all our lovely costumes and then we go down and have some refreshments? Okay, right, we'll stop then. If you've got hats on, you can easily take them off and pop them on the side. And some of you girls are going to have to come to me and I'll have to help you. If the boy over there, the Pakistani boy, can come here, and Mr. Mahmood will help you take off your stuff.
Yeah. Right, just pick up the names.
I'll do it.
Before you should, then that's it.
Really good, that Spanish costume.
Who down?
I mean, we've done because I'm sure is what Steve's saying.
And then your skirt can come on as well. That's easy, isn't it? You can just pull it off. Right, let me do that. Let me help you. Right, right, stay on the floor. Right, put your hand. We got it. That's it. That's it. You can breathe again.
Maybe now I think about doing more corpses years ago.
Right, do you want to pick up your bits?
Yes,
Pick up your bits. Pick up your coat. And let's go down.
Shoes, like,
Yeah, make sure you bring everything with you because we're not going to come up again. Okay? They enjoyed that, didn't they? I think we all had a bit of a laugh, didn't we?